So tonight they're going to talk about generalized spiritual energy, generalized spiritual opening and awakening, and specifically with the consciousness that you choose to involve yourself in is how they are saying it. They're looking at and they're looking at they want to ask you what you're involved in a day-to-day life or day-to-day basis, meaning that it's a subtle reminder that whatever you look upon is then the feelings that you're going to start to evoke. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling shut out, if you're feeling unable to cope with certain things in your life or certain things that are happening in the world, it's a very simple message to just pull yourself away from that and no longer be willing to go into that frequency. So I know that the angels often talk in kind of like this high level, like very generalized, but what it really means is everything is energy and everything is frequency. And if you can think about everything in colors, like think about the rainbow and how we look at like when you view out and you look at colors in the world, there's like different colors make you feel a certain way if you really think about it, or they represent certain things to us. And those colors frequencies are evoked in order to really give energy, right? And so if you like go into your closet in the morning and there's certain colors you want to wear, you don't want to wear, then that's because your frequency is being called to shift or activate in a certain way. And what they really want to tell everybody tonight is to have a deep evaluation about how you're really handling the things in your life in terms of, are you looking at it through eyes of love? Are you looking at it as a challenge versus maybe a healing? Are you looking at the things in the world that make you feel anxious, that make you feel tired, that make you feel exhausted, that make you feel afraid, that make you feel worried? Or are you willing and able to detach from those or take yourself out of it? One of the really important things that the angels want to tell us all is that, and this is a good reminder that I feel like they tell me a lot, is that we have to remember that we're a collective conscience, right? And so what ends up happening as the collective is that whatever we are all emitting, like they're showing me a lot with the crown chakra with everybody that's here or that will be listening to this tonight, it's like doing the work in your spiritual centers, doing the work in your higher self evolution, and being willing to understand that as we collectively buy into this consciousness out there in the world, we have a really clear choice of whether we want to be in the collective of well-being and spiritual awareness and belief that all is well, or we have the ability to tie into the collective of lower energies. And for most people, when we get involved, and it's not to say that you're not able to get involved in things that we feel passionate about or that are meaningful to you, because everybody has a different soul path or a blueprint on this planet in this lifetime. And in every lifetime that you come into, it'll be different for you. It'll be something else. But in this lifetime, it's not to say you're not meaningfully called to help with causes or advocacy or certain things in your life, like perhaps even just the people in your personal relationships go through certain struggles. And being able to look at that and to help and to heal and to raise consciousness, it's all part of the plan. Like everything we experience here is spiritual. However, it's all about the way that you look at it. So are you seeing it through eyes of love? Are you seeing it as a challenge instead of a crisis, which is different? There's a different energy there. Are you seeing it as an opportunity instead of a challenge? But what they would really like for everybody to understand is that what you decide to collectively engage your personal energy in every single day is actually what manifests in the collective consciousness out there in the world. And so in order for us to change the world that we live in, it's actually about activating your individual consciousness and then being really willing and thoughtful about having conversations with other people that match that vibrational frequency. Nothing in this world is happening to us. It's all happening for us. I feel like that can be like a cliche saying sometimes, but it's what they really tell us, because the reality is everything in our world is evolving out of the collective consciousness of humanity. And it's why there is this timeline, this evolution of timelines that are happening, where you could be living in one part of the world and living a completely different reality than even somebody down the block from you. And the reason that that happens is what you're collectively or vibrationally tuned into. So if you want things in your life to go easier, to go better, to feel more smoothly is what they say. This like they like to use LYs a lot. It's a frequency thing. You have to be willing to look at yourself in the mirror, is what they say, and really be honest with yourself. Be honest about the things that you choose to involve yourself with. If you want something in your life to radically change, you have to be willing to no longer engage in that or to see it differently. And a lot of it is about seeing things differently. It reminds me a lot of, like, they're telling me think about relationships. I feel like they talked about this a little bit last week too. Like, think about relationships that you've had in the past that were difficult. Every relationship has a capacity to be healed. But what it really takes in order to heal that is the person who's looking out at it with perspective. The person who is more powerful has to actually be able to change the frequency. And once you're able to do that, the other person has an opportunity to either clear and heal their frequency. In order for them to continue to be in relationship with you, they'll either have to elevate themselves where they are, or that relationship will go away. And like, one of the things they're telling me is it are all of a sudden startles people when they tell them that, like, I'm going to lose my relationships. And that's not at all what it means. What it really means is that if you are the one that is in more powerful consciousness, if you are the one that, for whatever reason, perhaps you are more spiritually aware, which I feel like is true for all of you here, or you are a person who is more simply aware of what you perceive to be the problem and what could be the solution, what they would like you to do is focus on the solution and not the problem, if that makes sense to everybody. But they want you to be able to elevate your relationships through eyes of love. And that means looking at people as just other souls that are here on this planet doing all that they can do, and recognizing that not just yourself, but your loved ones and the people in your life also struggle with these same things where they get pulled into all the things that are going on. So this happens a lot, and they're showing me like children or like young adults that are in these cohorts of how they're living their life right now. They are probably on social media. They're probably tied into certain social ties, social discord. And as they do that, that impacts and affects the sensitivity that they feel. The same thing can happen with older, like the more elderly. So if you have people in your life that are older and that are being more difficult or more resistant to change, it's like this collective consciousness that they're tied into, and they have habits and patterns and beliefs that are dictating that. And so the goal for you is to not pay attention to that, because what they tell me, what they tell us is that as soon as you look at the problem, you see the problem out there in the world, you actually start to navigate your personal frequency towards the problem instead of the solution. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. I'm just gonna like pause them for a minute to come back here to kind of reiterate some of this. So I've been doing this work for like over 30 years, and like reading for people and doing readings and angel work and intuitive stuff. I've been doing that like my entire adult life. And one of the things that I get a lot of pushback from when I will talk to certain people or do certain readings is that it's like, well, how do you solve the problem if you're not focused on the problem, right? And I always say, well, focusing on the problem creates more of the problem. And it kind of is a mind warp for us sometimes, because the way that we are encouraged to live our life from a human perspective is that, even in our schooling, we learn this or we're taught this. It's like you have to look at the problem and keep looking at the problem until you have a solution for the problem. And it's not at all the way it works energetically. You have to remember that everything is quantum physics and quantum mechanics, in terms of everything is this energy that's moving in this frequency that we are really just beginning to understand. And so when you are looking out at the world, whatever you decide to look at is what you attract into your life. And there is no magical formula for this. It's just simply happening every single day. So if you're able to wake up in the morning and you're able to think different thoughts and you're able to focus on different things, you're going to have a different day than if you decide to wake up in the morning and look at social media or listen to the news or get into a discussion that feels negative to you. Everything is about how we come at it, and things are only negative from the perspective of what we put on that energetically, if that makes sense to people. So every experience on this planet is valid for people. Every experience is really a neutral experience, so to speak, from an outside perspective, because what souls and people are going through is about their own journey. And of course, there are things, they're coming back in, they're telling me, of course, there's things you don't like. There's things that hurt people that you feel very passionate about, or there's things that you've been hurt yourself and you feel very passionate about. And it's not to say that the things that happen in the world that feel like injustices or seem like injustices or seem harmful, it's not to say that they're not, because they are for those people going through it. But what they're saying is, instead of focusing energy collectively on the problem, how do we collectively focus it on the solution? So this is something in your own life, as well as if you look out in the world about the things that you are passionate about, how can you be part of the solution and not the problem? That's really the message this week that they are giving to you, that they would like to give to you, in understanding that it's all guided by how you choose to see yourself and how you choose to see other people. So they help people a lot. The angels are always there. They work in uplifting the frequency. They work in your energy field and your chakra and your auras. They use sacred geometry. They use all sorts of different technology that probably most people on this planet don't fully understand. The angels have been over this planet since the beginning of time and will continue to be on it. And their sole purpose is to help the inhabitants, both collectively and individually, live their best possible life and stay into their spiritual source. We, of course, wouldn't come here to this planet if we didn't have lessons to learn, or it's like a school in some way, right? It's this collective energy of things that are happening as we actively co-create. And that's something for people. Angels don't get into the co-creation as much as like some of the spiritual guides and entities that we have access to. But the angels are always hoping to help you look at things differently, which is why they give you a lot of signs. So we talked a little bit about this last week, but if you have things where you are seeing repetitive numbers, you're seeing feathers being dropped, you're seeing animals repetitively, you're hearing the same song, the same music, the same color, the same scent. If you're getting things over and over, it's almost like a distraction method for them, or like, let's get your attention somewhere else, if that makes sense. What they really want to be able to do is to help you shift the vibrational frequency. And sometimes it feels slow, but if you can every single day slowly shift the way that you look at things, even if it's for a minute, 60 seconds, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, you're feeling differently, you're looking at something differently, and then you can let it go and you can move on to something else. Then slowly you actually change the whole entire aspect of how you're living your life and how you're seeing your life. It's all just about your mental shift and your mental perspective, because whatever you look at is going to be then the frequency that's mirrored back to you from the universe. This is why relationships are so powerful. When we go into a relationship with people, really all they are doing is holding up a mirror to ourselves. And that doesn't always mean that we are like we're same. So like if you're in a relationship with somebody who is maybe harmful to you or hurtful to you in some way, and you're thinking to yourself, well, I would never do that to someone else. First of all, I will say that karmically, we have all lived all roles of all lives. So we have all probably played roles where we've hurt people, and we've hurt people in this lifetime, whether consciously or unconsciously. But what I really want for people to understand, what they want for people to understand, is that it's not necessarily because someone did an act to you, it means that you're capable of doing that same act. What it means is it's shining a light on why you believe that you have to be in relationship and get hurt in those ways, similar ways, if that makes sense. So let's say something has happened to you by somebody. It's about shining the light and reflecting what it is in you that needs to learn, grow, and evolve in order to no longer be a vibrational match for that. So it's either we're a vibrational match, or we're like the opposite end of the spectrum. So for instance, I'm going to use something kind of outlandish right now, but let's say somebody's in a relationship with somebody who's been unfaithful to them. Just because somebody is unfaithful to them doesn't mean that they are an unfaithful person, but what it means is there's some belief in them that says, I don't believe in being worthy of loyalty, or I believe that all relationships end this way, or whatever it may be. There's some kind of vibrational match that allows that person to be on the mirroring side or the other side of like the pendulum, or it's like a stick. It's like there's two frequencies and they have to be a vibrational match. For instance, if somebody is angry and controlling in a relationship, somebody has to be passive and submissive in that relationship, right? Because two angry people coming together probably won't last very long. Fire, fire. There's always a vibrational match. If somebody is a giver, they have to in some way be with somebody who is a receiver. And so it's like coming into these relationships where we find this balance, but remembering that every relationship in your life, parent, child, lover, partner, siblings, coworkers, friends, every single person in your life, there is something to be learned from them, something that you can elevate yourself through that, both spiritually and emotionally. You can learn and evolve. Some relationships are just super enjoyable. There are some people that come into our life that it's just easy and it's enjoyable, but even in those relationships, there's always energy that we're able to see within ourselves and patterns of recognition and behavior. And that's the whole reason we come to planet Earth, is to be able to have these evolvements spiritually and on a soul level, if that makes sense to everybody. So what they would like to encourage you to do over the next few days and week is to really just step back and look at the things that you are involving yourself in. Sometimes it's not even like we're not even aware of it because we are so used to the patterns of behavior, habit, or the line of thinking that we have, that we're not always able to fully have the perspective of being able to see how we're thinking about things or how we are living our life, right? So the angels will constantly tell people to shake things up, I mean, do things differently. Wake up and evolve the way that you wake up out of bed. If you wake up and you're immediately on your phone, or you wake up and you're immediately ruminating about things, like wake up and like open the window, go outside, smell an essential oil, take a walk, exercise, and all throughout your day, challenging yourself to do things differently. Because what they really tell us is that as we interact in the world differently and we're willing to see things differently, then that actually starts to evolve us on a spiritual level, and that moves our personal energy, but it moves our relationship energy. So that's the really, okay, that's it. They just go so quickly. It's like they come and they go. So I feel like there's some things that people want to talk about, but I will just like reiterate like the end of this, that everything this week, and hopefully you can feel the angels' energy and the angels' elevated presence in your life. And if you can, just take a moment right now. Just the best way to feel the angels is to be really well hydrated and to be at rest or to be in peace. Angels make us feel happier. They make us feel light and joyful and energetic and playful. Or in some cases, they make us just feel extremely calm. Okay. And so you should feel a little bit of an energy shift. Now, if you're somebody who maybe you're not very sensitive to energy, or you haven't really been working on things in an energetic or spiritual sense, it might be a little more challenging for you to start to feel what those shifts feel like. But part of what the angels always ask us to do is elevate our self-awareness or increase the ability to see things differently in our life. And so maybe you make a list tonight and say, these are the areas I feel like I'm struggling in this week. Maybe it's a relationship or somebody in your life. Maybe it's a health issue. Maybe it's financial. Maybe it's, health related, whatever it might be. Maybe write down a couple of those areas, or the area you feel really challenged by. And then also just look at how do I feel about that? What is my belief about that? And what am I doing on a daily basis to solidify that in my energy field? Meaning that we are constantly co-creating. There's no secret magic thing out there in the world. The reason why you wake up and live your same life over and over is because you are in the same energy field over and over. So you're thinking about things the same way, you're believing things the same way, you're doing things the same way, you're in the same relationship with the same people in the same way. And that just basically creates the next moment, the next moment, the next moment, the next moment, the next moment. In order to pattern interrupt that, which is what the angels are always trying to get us to do, by the way, they're always trying to intervene or send energy or send people or animals or anything outside of us, or they're working to help us by creating a distractive thought, right? Like pulling us somewhere else. It reminds me of parenting when I got my undergraduate degree in child developmental psychology. And one of the things that, we talked a lot about in parenting is like distraction methods, meaning that instead of telling your child no, or instead of being like, don't do that, just pull their attention to something else that you want them to be doing, because it constantly creates a positive reinforcement of, look, let's look at this, let's think like this, let's feel like, so it's like, it's just, instead of creating that negativity, it's like, hey, want to go outside and play, right? That's what your angels are trying to do with you. They're like those loving parents that are trying to give you that reinforcement of like, hey, why don't you look at, this thing over here? Look at this awesome animal that just went by, or listen to this song with this really good upbeat, or, so they're always trying to help intervene, but we have to be willing to like see that and ride that wave of energy. And riding that wave of energy means a lot of us as adults have learned that when something really great happens, we're like, oh yeah, right? Or it's just like, we're on to the next thing, instead of really riding those moments of joy and passion and happiness, like I talked about last week, like children do. And one of the things that your angels will always be trying to get you to do is milk those really good moments, those good feeling moments, just a little bit longer. Because if you can, for 16 or 17 seconds, which turns into 30, and then 45, and then 60 seconds, and then a couple minutes, if you can stay in a more positive vibration about anything in your life, it doesn't have to be even on subject. In fact, it probably shouldn't be. If you can ride a little bit longer on the more elevated things that are happening in your life begins to change very quickly. Most of us as adults have been conditioned to learn that life has to be hard. We have to work really hard. We have to be miserable. Things don't come to us without, a lot of work and sacrifice. That is not actually true. It's just beliefs that get passed on from people that don't understand how energy or law of attraction or the angels or our souls actually operate on a frequency level. You can work as hard as you want, but if your frequency isn't lined up, you're never going to actually make any progress. What your angels are always trying to help you do is speed up the process of getting all the things in your life that you want, that you feel like are going to make you happy. It's the only reason we ever want anything. It's because we believe that we'll feel better when we have that. And as soon as we identify that, the universe is like, yeah, like I'll give that to you. But then people block themselves, or they hold themselves back, or they don't feel deserving or worthy. And that's why relationships pop up in our life, right? Like think about times where you've had friends in your life or people in your personal life who you could very clearly see how they weren't loving themselves enough, or how they weren't really going after the things that you knew they were capable of, or they can really see their talents or their gifts or their abilities, but you could see it. And that's how the angels are for you. Although, unlike friends who can be human and sometimes go like this, angels are always consistent. They're always present. They're always loving. They're always guiding. They're always helping. They're always available. They're always going to give you the highest possible frequency and be your cheerleader. And they know exactly what it is that you need every single time. And they'll repeat things consistently until you're willing to see that way or feel it that way. And then they'll help nudge you to the next level, if that makes sense. Okay, I think I'm going to actually pull a card right now. If anyone has any thoughts or comments, I will stop recording here in just a moment and let you, someday, one day when I figure out the signing of legal forms, I could have people ask them here and it would be recorded. But for the time being, I want to protect your privacy and we don't have that. So we're not going to do that. But the angel card, and I told you last week, and I'll be using these for the time being because they're one of my favorite card decks, but they also told me to use this, is the Archangel. You can't really see it, but Diana Cooper's Archangel. Archangels, just as a reminder, work with everybody on the planet and can work simultaneously. They oversee certain areas, certain topics, or certain life themes and processes here on planet Earth. And then, of course, you have your own personal guardian angels and your own angelic team, but often, in fact, I've never done an angel reading for people that haven't had archangels that have come on their team. Sometimes they'll ask to permanently be on your team, which means it's something in your life theme that they're really helping you with or you really need, or they'll come in and out and help you. If you're a person who calls on your angels, likely it's not uncommon. I'll do a reading for somebody. I'll be like, oh, you have this archangel or this archangel. And they'll be like, oh, I've been asking for their help, or I've been talking to them a lot lately. And I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. The card that we got tonight is Archangel Metatron. And this is a lot of sun, but Archangel Metatron, this specific card has to do with increasing your light levels, which we just talked about kind of in the beginning of your spiritual energy. Light is spiritual energy. And so every one of the chakras, including there's, 7 main chakras most people know about, but there's lots of minor chakras. There's out of body chakras. And actually we have like thousands of mini chakras that are all over our aura and our energy field. And when I do readings with people or work with people from an energetic healing perspective, I see all of those chakras that we're working with like start to light up and move energy. So it's pretty cool out there in the matrix. But the stellar gateway is where it speaks exactly to what the guidance of the angels was talking about. And it felt very generalized tonight, but that's because we have generalized people here, meaning that there's a collective instead of it being incredibly specific to one person. But your stellar gateway is actually serves 2 purposes energetically. It's an out of body chakra. It brings in higher spiritual energy, but its specific purpose is to bring in higher spiritual energy for cleansing and purification. The other thing that chakra does is it holds toxic or old energy that's no longer needed. So when you're detoxing your physical body, your emotional body, your thought process, your mental body, your psychic toxins can all build up in that chakra if that chakra is not running smoothly, meaning that the higher energy is coming in and then the toxic energy or the lower frequency negative energy is moving out. Sorry, feeling the energy move there through that. So we're going to call on Archangel Metatron, if you don't mind, and just ask if you're willing. You can just mentally give permission for him to help you start to clear out your stellar gateway. They will do this through light. He will do this specifically with light, like the sunlight. If anyone is one of those people that feels really, really good when you go out in the sunlight. I mean, I didn't ever know this because I'm a sun person, but some people like feel really gross when they're in the sun. I didn't know that till a while ago, till a few years ago. But if you're a person who feels really drawn to the sun and the sun makes you feel happy and vibrationally like just energetic and really good, that's what this light looks like. But we're just bringing this golden yellow light frequency into the stellar gateway. It comes in through the out of body chakra above, but it actually detoxes because this chakra reflexes down below the feet, and it goes back into Mother Earth to be transmuted, back into the universal energy, be transmuted. And working with this chakra can start to heal the toxins in your body. Your health can improve. It heals the emotional toxins that have built up in your energy bodies and in your system. It helps detox the psychic toxins. Some people who are very energetically sensitive can pick up on other people's negativity or other people's negative thought processes, or even there are people out there that send negative energy to other people. It might be directed specifically at you, or you may just feel it. And it's not as like intentional or as clear as we sometimes think it would be. It could be even something as simple. I see this actually a lot is a coworker, a friend who's jealous or who just feels negative and is critical, and they think negative thoughts about people. And then you actually are able to pick up on that about yourself or even sometimes other people, and it has nothing to do with you. We are not meant to understand what's going on with other people. That's their personal soul journey. The only thing that we need to worry about is cleansing our own energy fields and our own energy bodies. So regardless of what we've picked up psychically, we just can let it go. And as we do that, and we continue to be willing to do that, we actually strengthen our ability to protect and shield ourselves so that we're no longer vulnerable to that. But that goes back to something that they were telling us tonight about looking at things through the eyes of love. If you truly can see other people, even if you don't agree or you dislike them, if you can see them through eyes of love and neutrality, it actually really protects yourself from being susceptible to the lower energy or the lower frequency. And back to what they said collectively, and I feel like with Archangel Metatron today, the only way we are going to clear and heal the collective consciousness and how the energy of this planet is moving is by each one of us individually being willing to put our collective consciousness into a space of love and light and living our life looking at the things that we really want to feel and create more of. If there's something in your life that you don't want more of, then start looking at it differently or start looking at it from a healed perspective. Meaning, if this was healed in my life, how would I feel differently? What would I do differently? How would I see things differently? And start to try to act from that point of view than from the weakened point of view that you might be feeling right now. So that's the angel of the week, Archangel Metatron, who will be helping all of us and working in large efforts on the planet. Metatron works a lot with indigo, rainbow, the golden age children, which are a lot of kids in the alpha generation, which started arriving on this planet in about 2013, 2014. So he's very instrumental right now in helping humanity shift collectively and see life differently. The other part of that, though, is a lot of those kiddos are the kiddos that are really ultra involved right now in tech. And I personally believe and have been told by a lot of the angelic realm and guides that I work with that part of the whole there is galactic tech, meaning that there is tech that is really beneficial and can be helpful to us and improves our life significantly. But there is also tech that has been created in a harmful way to help draw away the light of our children on this planet and to create a lack. They're very powerful. So if there is a way in which tech or things can be developed that interrupt them, that distract them, that make them feel bad, a lot of online things like that, it actually it dissipates their energy and their power, which allows more of a negative consciousness to still continue to permeate. And so if you have children that age or you work with children that age, I just highly recommend asking for Archangel Metatron and all of the angels' help in understanding how to limit the tech that is harmful to those children and also ask for ways to help protect them and help improve their powerfulness and their focus. Because if this group of children put all of their focused energy together for a good collective, this planet would shift instantaneously. They're very powerful, which is why they're also people, entities, forces out in the world and in the galactic energies that want to not allow them to express the power. And you see, I have a really hard time even saying probably what I would normally say because the angels filter everything into like a lighter perspective. But that's the message that they give. So at 44, it's 6:44 on my clock. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording and I can open it up to anything that you all would like to talk about or would like to ask.